Z23 Evo Sport pad with HDW, which is hardware, fronts was $72.99. Z23 Evolution Sport pad for the rear were $35.99. That means I spent $115 on brake pads. That is not expensive for a European car. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. I'm Eli, and today we're in my 2019 Audi SQ5 because a lot of people have been asking about brake dust and telling me that their SQ5 has the worst brake dust out of any car that they've owned. And while I've had the pleasure of owning a number of Audis, and they've all had really bad brake dust issues, I will say that whatever genuine Audi pads they used on this car are particularly bad as far as brake dust goes. Now, one important thing to note with this video is I'll be talking about Powerstop pads that I installed on my car. And I've put about 6,000 miles on the pads since I filmed the install of this. Other thing to note is generally when you change brakes, you want to change pads and rotors. I did not change my rotors because the dealership actually just did pads and rotors on the car before I bought it. I have the service receipt for it. It was part of my negotiation in buying the car, and so I trust the fact that they've actually been done. I bought these Powerstop Z23 ceramic and carbon infused brake pads. Now, if you don't know, the whole reason people buy ceramic brake pads is because they reduce brake dust. Now, there are trade-offs when you reduce brake dust. For example, the pedal compared to a semi-metallic pad, which is what makes all the dust, is significantly less grabby at the top. It still has the same amount of braking force, but the pedal travel itself is not the same. These pads are not designed to go on like a track day. You could probably get away with a track day on a streetable semi-metallic pad, but ceramic brake pads fade really quickly on the track. Is that a bad thing? Well, if you're like me and you mostly drive on the highway, I don't really ever plan on taking this car, ripping on back roads. Not the end of the world. I got no complaints from doing that. With that said, let's jump into the install of these pads, which is actually pretty straightforward on these cars. If you've never done brake pads on a Volkswagen or Audi product, the only thing you need to know is that for the rear brakes, in order to get that piston retracted enough that you can slide it on over the caliper, you need to retract the emergency parking brake, which requires coding software. Unfortunately, there's no cheat code like there is on the Fords, you know, brake 3 times, e-brake 3 times, whatever it is. There's no cheat codes to get that piston retracted on its own. So what do I think of these pads? Honestly, I was expecting them to be garbage. I'll just be transparent. They were not sent to me, but I had heard about them online. I didn't even bother emailing Powerstop because I was worried that if they were bad, Powerstop wouldn't let me make a bad review. So paid for this with my own money, bought it off of Jegs. Normally I buy all my parts and whatever through FCP Euro, which is where I work because we have a lifetime replacement guarantee, but I wanted to try out this Powerstop stuff. I bought the Z23, which is the not just ceramic, but ceramic and carbon infused brake pad. It's a little bit more expensive. You can actually get even cheaper brake pads than that if you go for just the right. I think it's Z21. These are supposed to have a little bit more of a sporty feel to them, I believe. They don't feel bad. I would compare them pretty much apples to apples to the EBC Red Stuff pads that I ran on my S6. The only thing I don't know about these pads is how long they last compared to the EBC Red Stuff on my S6, but if I'm really being fair, I don't know how long they last on the S6 either because I sold the car. I'll have to ask Kyle how they're doing over there. But they bite hard enough that if you need to make an emergency stop, I have no questions that the car would do it. I haven't done repeated emergency stops, so I don't know how well that fade is, but again, my driving usage of the SQ5, other than going to the track on occasion, is mostly street and highway driving, where I would rather have no brake dust. I mean, I literally haven't washed my wheels in like 2 months. I also haven't washed the car very often. That's a separate story. But I haven't washed the wheels other than like power washing some dust off of them. I really don't think I could ask for much more out of these pads other than what they've given to me. I'm pleasantly surprised that there is a solid, like, price conscious, affordable option on the market that isn't complete junk. Now, take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I've this is only one set of pads. I could have the best set of pads ever made, but from the reviews that I watched before I bought them, everyone seems to be pretty happy with them. Now, one thing people don't think about when they do these big baller semi-metallic, like streetable track pads or whatever, is one, most of those people don't drive on the track and they're wasting it and it's dumb. But two, in order for a more aggressive track pad to grab, it needs heat in it. Where I really struggle with that, I ran the Hawk HPS something, I don't know, they were garbage, on the SQ5, the blue SQ5. And it would push through those at the track, meaning that the pad compound, because it needed heat in it, and I would sit my car for 2 hours straight to cool the intake air temps down, the pad compound couldn't actually hold the car back on the line, and you would end up pushing through the brakes. Now, I haven't run into an issue yet, and I'm only stage 1 on this car, which I haven't even made a video on yet. I haven't yet run into an issue of me pushing through the brakes. It doesn't mean that's not going to happen at higher power levels, but when you do these super grabby track pads, they aren't necessarily the best for the drag racing track for the line. They may be good on the back half of the track, but it's just something to think about. Either way, I'm really pleasantly surprised with these pads. If you have an SQ5 and you drive it like I do, which means you don't drive it like you stole it, or if you do drive it like you stole it, oh my god, that is a giant speed bump. Or if you do drive it like you stole it, you take time between each stop. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with these pads. Again, not a sponsored video, bought them with my own money. No issue saying they were garbage if they were. Pedal feels a little bit more dull than a semi-metallic pad, but that's true of every car that I put ceramic pads on, not just a Powerstop thing. And overall, like I said, just pleasantly surprised that there is an affordable product on the market that's actually pretty good. That's all I got. If you've run these brake pads and you have some thoughts, and you're not a track driver, if you are a track driver and using these brake pads, you probably need to do some research. Let me know your thoughts. Other brake pads that I've run that I've enjoyed, Akebono makes a pretty good product. You can get those from FC Puro generally. And I like the EBC red stuff that I ran on my S6. I was a big fan of that as well. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Go out there and spread some positivity. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.